Have you ever wondered why your journey has been so turbulent, why the winds seem to always blow against you, and the storms never seem to cease? You've prayed, cried out, and even questioned your path. Yet in the silence of those moments there was always a whisper, a divine assurance that the trials were not for your destruction but for your elevation. I am here to tell you something extraordinary. What you've endured wasn't wasted. Those sleepless nights, those battles that no one saw, were shaping you, molding you, and preparing you for something that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. Stay with me, because what's about to unfold in your life will be nothing short of divine revelation and supernatural provision. When God sets his eyes on someone for greatness, the process isn't always easy to comprehend. There is a divine law in the kingdom that preparation must precede promotion. God never releases his treasures into unprepared hands because he values his gifts too much to entrust them to those who cannot steward them. What you thought were setbacks were actually setups for what's coming next in your life. The fiery trials, the disappointments, and the seasons of lack were all tools in the hands of the master potter to shape you for the glory that is about to be revealed. Think about Joseph. He had a dream of greatness, a vision that seemed impossible. Yet before the palace there was the pit. Before the position there was the prison. It wasn't because God forgot him, it was because God was preparing him. You too have faced seasons that seemed unbearable. Maybe you've questioned your worth. Maybe you've even wondered if God still has a plan for you. But I assure you, every tear you cried was counted. Every pain you endured was purposed. Your trials were never meant to destroy you, they were designed to build resilience, faith, and character. In the kingdom of God, wealth is not just about money. It's about influence, purpose, and responsibility. What God is about to release in your life isn't just for you, it's for his glory and the advancement of his kingdom. The blessings he is preparing to pour out are tied to your willingness to walk in alignment with his will. He doesn't bless randomly, he blesses strategically. He has chosen you because he sees in you the heart of a steward, someone who will not hoard but will honor him with what they receive. But let me remind you of this truth: the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. This isn't just a promise, it's a principle. God has been orchestrating a divine transfer. What was held back from you, what seemed unreachable, is being positioned for your hands. Yet, this isn't a time to relax, it's a time to remain vigilant. The enemy knows what's coming your way, and he'll do everything to distract you from the path of obedience. But if you stay rooted in his word, if you refuse to waver, nothing can stop what God has already ordained. You survived the pruning season, and now the harvest is here. But let's not forget, harvest requires work. The blessings of God are not passive, they require action, discipline, and alignment. He's not just looking to give you wealth, he's looking to trust you with it. Your trials were the training ground for this moment. The seasons of lack taught you gratitude. The nights of prayer built your spiritual muscles. Now, as you step into this season of abundance, remember that the same God who brought you here must remain at the center of it all. As I speak to you today, I sense a shift in the spirit. The heavens are open, and God is releasing what was once withheld. The seeds you've sown in tears will now bring forth a harvest of joy. The prayers you've prayed in private will manifest publicly. But this isn't the end, this is the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where your testimony will become the evidence of God's faithfulness to others. You are about to walk in the overflow, not because of your merit, but because of his mercy. When God blesses, he does so in a way that leaves no room for doubt. He ensures that no man can take credit for what he's done. Your story will be one of those undeniable miracles. People will look at you and see the fingerprints of God all over your life. They'll wonder how it happened, and the only explanation will be the favor of the Almighty. But remember, favor isn't fair. It's not about what you deserve, it's about what God has chosen to bestow. Even as you step into this season of abundance, keep your eyes fixed on the giver, not just the gift. Wealth without purpose is empty. Success without significance is fleeting. God's intention is not just to make you wealthy, but to make you impactful. He wants you to be a beacon of his glory, a testament to his goodness. This is why the trials were necessary. They refined you, humbled you, and prepared you to handle what's coming next. God's timing is impeccable. He doesn't operate on our schedules, but when His moment arrives, it is perfect. Every delay you experience was not a denial, but a detour meant to strengthen you for the destination. Now that the season has shifted, walk boldly in the confidence that He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let the opinions of others cause you to doubt. If God has spoken it, it will come to pass. All He requires is your faith and obedience. As you step into this new season, take a moment to reflect on the journey. Remember the lessons, cherish the growth, and honor the process. What God is doing in your life isn't just about you, it's about His kingdom. This is your moment to shine, not for your glory, but for His. The trials are over, the time is now, and the blessings are here. Stay faithful, stay grounded, and watch as God does exceedingly, abundantly, above all you could ask or imagine. Let me continue. You are entering a season where every closed door will be opened, not by your strength, but by the divine authority of the one who goes before you. The trials you endured, not random, they were orchestrated with purpose. God allowed certain things to break in your life so He could build you back stronger. He permitted people to walk away from you because they could not handle the magnitude of where He was taking you. Everything that seemed like a loss was, in fact, a pruning process to prepare you for the abundance that is now at hand. But do not forget, this is a covenant moment. God's promises are always tied to His principles. The wealth, influence, and blessings He's about to release into your life are not just for your personal enjoyment. They are tools for kingdom work. God blesses you so that you can become a blessing. He provides so you can provide. He pours into your life so that you can pour into others. This is why the trials were so intense, because the magnitude of the calling required a deeper level of refinement. Think about David. He was anointed as king long before he ever wore the crown. In the time between his anointing and his appointment, he faced rejection, betrayal, and countless battles. Yet each challenge was a stepping stone to his destiny. In the same way, your trials were training you for this moment. God was building in you the heart of a warrior, the mind of a steward, and the faith of a conqueror. What you thought was breaking you was actually making you. You see, the trials were a test of your heart. God was watching how you handled the little before He entrusted you with the much. When you had only enough to get by, did you still give? When the door seemed locked, did you still knock? When the prayers went unanswered, did you still believe? These moments were not about what you had, they were about who you were becoming. And now that you have passed the test, heaven is opening over your life. This is the moment where faith meets fulfillment. The years of sowing in tears will now yield a harvest of joy. But remember, the harvest comes with responsibility. God is not just giving you resources, He is entrusting you with influence. He is positioning you as a light in a world filled with darkness. Your wealth will not just be measured in numbers, but in the lives you impact, the souls you reach, and the legacy you leave. The enemy will try to convince you that you are not ready, that you are not worthy, that you do not deserve this blessing. But let me remind you of the truth. It is not about your worthiness, it is about God's faithfulness. He chose you not because of what you could do, but because of what He can do through you. Do not allow fear or doubt to rob you of what is already yours. Step boldly into this season, knowing that the one who called you is faithful to equip you. Even now, as you prepare to walk in this new season, guard your heart and mind. The distractions will come, the temptations will arise, and the voices of doubt will whisper. But keep your focus on Him. Seek His wisdom in every decision. Trust His guidance in every step. Remember, the same God who brought you through the trials is the same God who will sustain you in the triumph. You are about to witness the manifestation of promises you've carried in your spirit for years. The prayers you whispered in the midnight hour, the dreams you dared to dream, and the visions you held on to despite the odds, they are all coming to pass. But this is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter, one where you walk in purpose, power, and divine provision. God's plans are always layered, intricate, and purposeful. Every delay, every closed door, and every setback was part of a divine strategy. It's not just about the blessings you are about to walk into, but the person you become through the journey. You are no longer the same as you were when the trials began. God has been shaping your character, refining your heart, and molding your perspective to align with His kingdom principles. He allowed you to face impossibilities so you would learn to rely on Him entirely, not on your own strength or understanding. The world measures success by achievement and possessions, but God's kingdom operates on an entirely different system. In the kingdom, wealth is not merely about accumulation, but about purpose. The trials you endured have given you a heart of compassion, a deeper faith, and a vision for the greater good. You now understand that what you receive isn't meant to stop with you. It's a flow, a channel through which God will impact others. That's why your trials were so intense, because the calling on your life is extraordinary. As you step into this season, you must remain anchored in the truth that it is God who gives you the ability to produce wealth. The blessings that are unfolding in your life are a testament to His promises, not your efforts alone. He is the author of your story, and He has orchestrated every detail to align with His perfect will. You will see doors open that no man can shut, and you will walk into opportunities that seem beyond your reach. This is not by chance, but by divine design. You were chosen for this. Yet, there is a sobering reality that comes with being chosen. The responsibility attached to your calling is immense. The trials you endured weren't just about preparing you for blessings, they were also about teaching you stewardship. God allowed you to experience seasons of lack so that you would learn how to handle abundance. He allowed rejection to strengthen your resilience. He permitted delays to build your patience. Every experience was a lesson in preparation for this moment. The enemy sees what's coming, and he will try to attack your mind and spirit. He will remind you of your failures, your shortcomings, and your past. But you must remember that your identity is not rooted in your mistakes, but in God's grace. The trials were never about proving your worth to God, they were about revealing His power in your life. Your testimony isn't one of self-achievement, but of divine intervention. The moments you thought you wouldn't survive were the very moments God was carrying you. This season is one of manifestation. The seeds you planted in faith are breaking through the soil, and the harvest is abundant. But don't forget that with the harvest comes the responsibility to sow again. God's blessings are perpetual, designed to flow through you and into the lives of others. You were chosen not just to receive, but to multiply, to be a steward of what He entrusts to you. The wealth you are about to experience is not merely material, it is spiritual, emotional, and relational. God's abundance touches every area of your life. As you walk into this season, humility will be your greatest strength. The same God who lifted you up can sustain you, but He requires your obedience. Stay rooted in His word, seek His presence daily, and let His Spirit guide your steps. The blessings are not an end, they are a beginning. They are the resources you will need to fulfill the purpose He has placed within you. Your life is about to be a beacon of hope for those around you, a testament to what happens when you trust God through the trials. People will look at you and wonder how you achieved so much, but they won't see the nights you spent on your knees, the tears you cried, or the battles you fought in silence. What they will see is the evidence of God's hand on your life. But remember, this isn't about impressing others, it's about glorifying Him. Let your story be a reflection of His goodness, not your greatness. The wealth you're stepping into is a tool for kingdom work, a means to expand His influence on earth. The trials you endured have given you a unique perspective. You now understand what it means to have nothing and to rely on God for everything. That perspective is a gift. It will keep you grounded as the blessings flow. You've learned to value the small things, to be grateful in every circumstance, and to trust God in the waiting. Those lessons will serve you well in this next season because they remind you of the source of your blessings. God's timing is impeccable. He knew exactly when to release the floodgates of heaven over your life. If He had done it earlier, you might not have been ready. If He had done it later, you might have grown weary. But now, in this moment, you are prepared. Your faith has been tested, your heart has been refined, and your vision has been clarified. You now understand that the blessings aren't about comfort, they're about calling. They're not about status, they're about service. As you walk into this season, keep your eyes on Him. The blessings will come with challenges, but they will also come with grace. The same God who brought you through the trials will sustain you in the triumph. He is your source, your provider, and your guide. Trust Him in every step, and you will see His hand move in ways you never imagined. This is your moment, not because of what you've done, but because of who He is. God's faithfulness knows no limits, and as you step into this season, it is crucial to remember that your story is far from ordinary. Every victory, every breakthrough, and every blessing that is about to come your way has been meticulously prepared by His divine hand. You may not understand why certain doors were closed or why some seasons felt unbearably long, but now you can see how every moment was necessary for where you're heading. The trials you thought would break you have instead refined you, shaping you into a vessel that God can trust with greater things. The wealth, influence, and abundance coming into your life are not random. They are the result of a divine covenant, a promise made by a God who cannot lie. But these blessings are not meant to elevate you above others. They are designed to position you as a servant, a steward, and a light in a world that desperately needs hope. God has entrusted you with a unique role, and the resources He is releasing into your life are tools to accomplish His will. He is not only blessing you, but is also making you a blessing to nations. In the same way that Joseph went from the prison to the palace, you are about to see a shift in your circumstances. But remember, even when Joseph reached the height of his success, his heart remained aligned with God's purpose. He understood that his position of influence was not for self-glorification, but for the saving of many lives. You too are being placed in a position where your decisions, actions, and generosity will ripple into eternity. God is using you as a conduit of His grace, and with that comes great responsibility. You've learned to rely on God when you had little, and now He is teaching you to rely on Him when you have much. This is a lesson many overlook, but it is just as important. Wealth and abundance can be distractions if they are not grounded in a heart of worship. The enemy will try to use these blessings to draw you away from your Creator, to convince you that you no longer need Him. But you must remember that everything you have and everything you are comes from Him. He is the source, and without Him, the blessings lose their meaning. The process you've endured has not only built your character, but has also positioned you to handle what is coming. God never gives us more than we can bear, and that includes blessings. He knows the weight of influence and resources, and He has spent this time preparing you to carry it with grace. You are stepping into a season where favor will surround you, where opportunities will come effortlessly, and where doors will open without you even knocking. But as these blessings pour in, your focus must remain on the one who made it all possible. The world will take notice of what God is doing in your life, and some will question how it happened. They won't understand the hours you spent in prayer, the moments of doubt you overcame, or the faith it took to keep going. They will see the glory, but not the story. Yet this is your opportunity to point them to the author of it all. Let your testimony be a reminder that God is still in the business of miracles, that He is still faithful to those who trust Him, and that He is still the God who turns trials into triumphs. This is not just about financial wealth, it's about the fullness of life that God promises. You will see restoration in relationships, healing in your body, and peace in your mind. The blessings coming your way will touch every area of your life, leaving no stone unturned. But as you experience this overflow, remember that it is not yours to hoard. God is calling you to be a distributor of His blessings, to pour out what He has poured into you, and to be a reflection of His love in a world that is hungry for hope. Your journey is a testament to the power of perseverance and faith. When others gave up, you held on. When circumstances seemed impossible, you believed in the God of possibilities. And now that faith is being rewarded. But this is just the beginning. God's plans for you are far greater than what you can see right now. He is setting you up for generational impact, for a legacy that will outlive you. The wealth and influence coming your way are not just for today, they are seeds for tomorrow, designed to impact lives long after you are gone. As you navigate this new season, remain vigilant. The enemy will try to distract you, to sow seeds of doubt, and to pull you away from your purpose. But you have been equipped with everything you need to stand firm. The same God who brought you through the wilderness will sustain you in the promised land. He will provide wisdom for every decision, peace for every storm, and strength for every challenge. Trust Him, lean on Him, and let Him guide your steps. Your trials were not in vain. They were the groundwork for the testimony you now carry. They were the preparation for the platform God is giving you. Every tear you cried, every prayer you whispered, and every step you took in faith has led you to this moment. And now, as you stand on the brink of this new season, remember that it is all for His glory. Your life is a canvas, and He is the master artist, painting a picture of grace, redemption, and victory. God's plans are never accidental, and His timing is never off. You've been prepared for this moment in ways you cannot fully comprehend. Every obstacle, every season of waiting, and every unexpected detour was shaping you for the greatness you are about to step into. The trials you endured were necessary not to punish you, but to refine you. They purified your motives, deepened your faith, and solidified your reliance on God. What seemed like delay was divine alignment, ensuring that you would be ready for the weight of the blessings that are now coming your way. The kingdom operates differently from the world. While the world focuses on self-promotion and striving, God's kingdom emphasizes surrender and trust. The trials you faced taught you to surrender your plans, your timeline, and even your understanding. You learned to trust God not just when things were clear, but when the path was dark and the future seemed uncertain. That trust has now become your greatest asset. It is what will sustain you as you step into this new chapter. You no longer operate out of fear or anxiety, because you've seen God's hand move in the midst of impossible circumstances. The blessings that are about to flow into your life are not random. They are intentional, designed to fulfill the purpose God has placed within you. Every gift, every opportunity, and every resource has a role in advancing His kingdom. God is strategic in His blessings. He doesn't give for the sake of giving. He gives so that His children can walk in their calling, influence others for His glory, and expand His reach on earth. This is not just about wealth in the physical sense, but about spiritual richness that transforms lives. As you step into this season of abundance, remember the lessons of the wilderness. It was there that God taught you to depend on Him for your daily bread. It was there that you learned the value of faith over fear, obedience over convenience, and worship over worry. Those lessons will anchor you now. The wilderness wasn't just a season of struggle, it was a season of preparation. It prepared you for the weight of influence, the responsibility of leadership, and the discipline required to handle abundance with humility. You may feel overwhelmed by what's ahead, but God has already equipped you for this journey. The trials you endured have given you resilience, clarity, and perspective. You now understand that success is not about what you can achieve, but about what you can steward. God is not looking for people who will hoard His blessings, but for those who will distribute them wisely. You've been chosen because you've shown yourself faithful in the little things. And as the word says, to those who are faithful with little, much will be given. This is not the time to shrink back or to second guess what God is doing. It's time to step forward boldly, knowing that He has gone before you. The opportunities that are coming your way will require courage, wisdom, and discernment. They will stretch you in ways you've never been stretched before, but they will also bring fulfillment, purpose, and joy like you've never known. God's plans for you are far greater than you can imagine. He is not only blessing you, but is using you to be a blessing to others. There will be moments when you are tempted to take credit for what God is doing in your life. The world will applaud your success, admire your achievements, and seek to elevate you. But you must remain humble, always pointing back to the one who made it all possible. The blessings are not about you, they are about Him. Your life is a testimony of His faithfulness, His power, and His grace. Let every success you experience be an opportunity to glorify God and to draw others closer to Him. The trials have taught you the value of patience and perseverance. You now understand that God's timing is perfect. even when it doesn't align with your own. You've seen how He works behind the scenes, orchestrating events in ways that you could never have planned. That understanding will be your strength in this new season. When challenges arise, you can rest in the knowledge that the same God who brought you this far will carry you forward. He is faithful, and He is for you. As you walk in this season of abundance, stay rooted in His Word. The Bible is your guide, your anchor, and your source of wisdom. It is filled with promises that remind you of who you are and whose you are. Let those promises fuel your faith and keep you grounded. The enemy will try to distract you with the allure of worldly success, but you must stay focused on what truly matters. The trials taught you that God is enough, and that truth will sustain you in the days ahead. This new season is not the end of your journey, it is a beginning. It is the start of a chapter where God's promises are fulfilled, His plans are revealed, and His glory is displayed through your life. But with blessings come responsibilities. You are called to be a light, a voice, and an example. You are called to use what God has given you to uplift others, to share the gospel, and to expand His kingdom. This is not a burden, it is a privilege. You've been chosen for such a time as this, and God's grace will enable you to fulfill your calling. The weight of this moment is significant, and it is no accident that you find yourself here. God has orchestrated every step, every challenge, and every breakthrough to prepare you for this exact time. His plans for you have always been intentional, and now you are walking into the manifestation of promises that have been spoken over your life long before you could imagine. What may have felt like random circumstances or disconnected events were, in truth, part of a divine design. You were being equipped, shaped, and molded to handle what is now unfolding. In this season, you must guard your heart and your mind with even greater diligence. Success and abundance bring their own set of trials. They test your humility, your priorities, and your allegiance to God. The blessings coming your way will elevate you, but they are not meant to isolate you from the one who made them possible. You must keep your eyes fixed on Him, for He is both the giver and sustainer of every good thing in your life. Never allow the gifts to overshadow the giver. God has chosen you not just to prosper, but to represent Him in this world. You are stepping into a season where your life will be a beacon of hope and inspiration to others. People will look at you and wonder how you overcame, how you rose above the trials, and how you found the strength to keep going. Your testimony will be a living sermon, a testament to the power of faith, perseverance, and divine favor. In sharing your story, you will draw others closer to God, not through your words alone, but through the evidence of His work in your life. As you embrace the abundance that is coming, never forget the lessons of the past. Remember the times when you had nothing but God, when your prayers were filled with desperation and your faith was tested in the fire of adversity. Those moments were not wasted, they were building a foundation of trust and dependence on Him. Now, as you stand on the threshold of extraordinary blessings, that foundation will keep you steady. You will not be swayed by the opinions of others or by the fleeting pleasures of this world, because your roots are deep, anchored in the truth of who God is. You must also be intentional about how you steward the resources and opportunities that God is placing in your hands. These blessings are not just for you, they are meant to flow through you to impact others. God is calling you to be a conduit of His love, grace, and provision. The influence and wealth you are receiving are tools to fulfill a higher purpose. They are meant to build His kingdom, to uplift the brokenhearted, and to meet the needs of those who cannot help themselves. This is your chance to partner with God in His work, to be His hands and feet in a world that desperately needs Him. The journey you've been on has also prepared you to recognize the traps that often come with success. You've learned to discern the voices of those who seek to manipulate, flatter, or distract you. Not everyone who celebrates your victories has your best interests at heart. Some will try to attach themselves to your success, not because they are aligned with your purpose, but because they see an opportunity for personal gain. But God has given you wisdom and discernment. He has taught you to listen to His voice above all others. Trust Him to guide you in your relationships, your decisions, and your plans. This is also a time to deepen your spiritual disciplines. The very practices that sustained you in the wilderness prayer, worship, fasting, and studying God's Word are the same practices that will sustain you in this new season. Success should never become a substitute for seeking God. The busyness that often accompanies abundance can easily pull you away from the quiet moments of communion with Him. Guard those moments fiercely, for they are the source of your strength, your peace, and your clarity. It is in those moments that God will reveal His strategies, His wisdom, and His next steps for you. God's timing is perfect, and He never makes a mistake. You may wonder why the blessings didn't come sooner or why the process took so long. But as you reflect on the journey, you will see that every delay was purposeful. God was not withholding blessings from you, He was preparing you for them. He was ensuring that you would be ready to handle the weight of success with integrity and grace. He was aligning the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances to bring you into His perfect plan. As you move forward, keep your faith active. The blessings you are experiencing are not the end of your journey, they are a stepping stone to even greater things. God's plans for you are always bigger than what you can see or imagine. He is a God of abundance, and He delights in exceeding our expectations. But His blessings are not just about material wealth, they are about the fullness of life that comes from walking in His purpose. He wants to bless you in every area spiritually, emotionally, relationally, and physically. Trust Him to complete the good work He has begun in you. Your life is a testimony of God's faithfulness, and it is a reminder to others that He is still in the business of miracles. You are proof that God can take what was meant for harm and turn it into something beautiful. You are a living example of His ability to redeem, restore, and elevate. Let your life inspire others to believe, to hope, and to trust in the God who never fails. As you share your story, you will sow seeds of faith in others, seeds that will bear fruit in ways you may never see. The blessings coming your way will require boldness and courage. They will call you to step out of your comfort zone, to take risks, and to trust God in new and deeper ways. But you can move forward with confidence, knowing that He is with you. The same God who carried you through the trials will sustain you in the triumphs. He has not brought you this far to leave you now. His promises are sure, and His plans are perfect. You stand now on the threshold of a season that will redefine everything you've known. The trials, the waiting, and the pain were not wasted. They were the tools God used to prepare you for this moment. You are walking into His divine plan, a plan that not only blesses you, but also allows you to be a blessing to others. The wealth, influence, and opportunities coming your way are not just rewards, they are assignments. They are sacred trusts from God, meant to reflect His glory and expand His kingdom. But remember, it's not about what you are gaining, it's about who you are becoming. Through it all, God has been shaping your heart, strengthening your faith, and teaching you to walk humbly before Him. These lessons are your greatest treasure because they will sustain you when the applause fades and the challenges come again. Stay rooted in His Word, faithful in prayer, and intentional in your relationship with Him. Let your life be a beacon of God's faithfulness. Let your story testify to His power to redeem, restore, and elevate. You are stepping into a season where God's promises will be fulfilled and His plans will be revealed. Walk boldly, live purposefully, and let every blessing point back to the one who made it all possible. The trials are over. Now step forward in faith, knowing that God has prepared you for such a time as this. Life often confronts us with struggles that feel insurmountable, moments that seem to crush our spirit and question our faith. Yet it is in those very moments of pain and uncertainty that the divine reveals its hidden work. Struggles are not random events, they are orchestrations, each one layered with meaning, purpose, and a call to rise higher. If you've ever wondered why challenges seem relentless, or why prayers appear unanswered, this message is for you. Stay with me, because the truth I'm about to share will not only shift your perspective on pain, but also awaken the hidden power within you to face life's battles with unwavering confidence. The key to transformation lies in what you'll discover next. When the children of Israel stood before the Red Sea, they faced what seemed like an impossible situation. Behind them was Pharaoh's army, and before them an endless expanse of water. They cried out in fear, and Moses responded with a profound declaration of faith. Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. Exodus 14:13. In that moment, their struggle became the canvas on which God painted his power. The sea parted, and what once appeared as an obstacle became their pathway to freedom. Your struggles are not accidents. They are divinely orchestrated opportunities for you to rely on God in ways you never imagined. The Bible reminds us in Romans 8:28, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Notice the verse doesn't say some things, it says all things. This includes the heartbreaks, the disappointments, the losses, and the delays. Each one is infused with divine intent, shaping your character, deepening your dependence on God, and positioning you for the purpose he has placed within you. The struggles you endure are not a sign of God's absence, they are proof of his active involvement in your life. They strip away the layers of self-reliance and pride, forcing you to lean on him. King David, in his many psalms, often cried out to God in moments of despair. In Psalm 34:19, he declares, "The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all here." The promise is not the absence of trouble, but the assurance of deliverance. In moments of difficulty, we must cling to the word of God. His promises are our anchor in the storm. Isaiah 43:2 reminds us, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, the flames will not set you ablaze." Notice the language "when you pass," not "if." Struggles are inevitable, but so is God's presence and protection in the midst of them. Faith is not built on the mountaintop, it is forged in the valley. It is in the moments when we are at our lowest, when hope seems distant, that God whispers, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." 2 Corinthians 12:9. Paul understood this truth deeply. Despite the thorn in his flesh, he recognized that his struggles were an avenue for God's power to be displayed in his life. When you shift your perspective from asking "why me" to "what is God teaching me," you unlock a new level of spiritual maturity. Struggles are not the end of the story, they are the beginning of transformation. God is not just preparing a blessing for you, he is preparing you for the blessing. What if the very thing you're praying to escape is the vehicle God is using to take you to the next level? Imagine the potter's hand shaping the clay. The pressure, the spinning, the cutting, it seems harsh. But the potter has a vision. He knows the purpose of the vessel he is creating. In the same way, God allows struggles to mold us, refine us, and align us with his greater plan. Think about Peter. Before he became the rock upon which the church was built, he faced moments of failure and weakness. He denied Jesus 3 times, a struggle that could have broken him. Yet Jesus had already prayed for him, saying, "Simon, Simon, Satan is asked to sift all of you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail." Luke 22:31-32. Peter's failure became the foundation for his strength. God used his struggle to prepare him for a leadership role in the early church. Struggles also reveal the glory of God to others. The story of the blind man in John 9 illustrates this perfectly. When Jesus' disciples asked why the man was born blind, Jesus replied, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him." John 9:3. What if your struggle is not about you, but about how God can use your life to demonstrate his power to others? There is something profound about the way God uses brokenness. The world sees brokenness as failure, but God sees it as an opportunity. A broken alabaster jar filled the room with fragrance. A broken body on a cross brought salvation to the world. In the hands of God, your brokenness becomes a testimony of his strength, grace, and redemption. Remember, the enemy's greatest weapon is to make you believe your struggle has no purpose. He wants you to feel abandoned, forgotten, and defeated. But God's word reminds us in Jeremiah 29:11, For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. This promise is not negated by struggles, it is fulfilled through them. Do not despise the process. The refining fire may feel unbearable, but it is burning away the impurities that hinder your purpose. Like gold tested in fire, you are being prepared for something greater. God does not waste pain. Every tear you shed, every prayer you've whispered in desperation, every night you felt alone, He has seen it all, and He is working it together for your good. Even in your darkest moments, God is present. The psalmist declares, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff. They comfort me, Psalm 23:4. Notice the word through. The valley is not your destination, it is part of your journey. God does not leave you in the valley, He walks with you through it, leading you to greener pastures and still waters. Your struggles are a platform for God's power. Just as He used David, who faced the giant Goliath with nothing but a sling and 5 stones, He will use you in ways that defy human logic. David's victory was not just about defeating a giant, it was about showcasing the power of God through faith. Whatever giant you face, know that God has equipped you with everything you need to overcome it. God is writing a story with your life, and every chapter, including the painful ones, has a purpose. The question is, will you trust the author? Will you allow Him to finish the work He has started in you? The Apostle Paul, writing from prison, declared, being confident of this, that He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus, Philippians 1:6. If Paul could see purpose in his chains, surely we can see purpose in our struggles. Faith is not about understanding every step of the journey, it is about trusting the one who leads. Abraham didn't know where he was going when God called him to leave his homeland, but he obeyed because he trusted the promise. Your struggles may not make sense now, but one day you will look back and see how God was directing your path all along. Hold on. The story is not over. The God who began a good work in you will not leave it unfinished. Every struggle, every trial, every moment of doubt is part of His divine plan to bring you closer to Him and to fulfill the purpose He has placed within you. Let His strength be your strength, and let His purpose in your pain be your guide as you press forward. Your journey through struggle is the proving ground of faith. It's where God separates those who only profess belief from those who live it. Faith is not just saying, I believe, but standing firm when the winds of life are against you. When the storm rages, faith declares, God is my refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble, Psalm 46:1. It's not an abstract declaration, but a deep conviction that even in the storm, God's purposes prevail. Struggles are often the means by which God shifts us from complacency to purpose. The Israelites in their bondage in Egypt cried out for deliverance. But had they not suffered in slavery, would they have longed for freedom? God used their struggles to awaken a deeper desire for Him, to call them out of the familiar into the unknown where they could fully rely on Him. Sometimes God disrupts our comfort to position us for our calling. He allows discomfort not to punish but to propel us into the destiny He has prepared. Think about the process of planting. Before a seed can grow, it must be buried in the darkness of the soil. It seems as though the seed is lost, hidden and forgotten, but beneath the surface, transformation is happening. The seed must break open to release the life within. In the same way, your struggles are the soil where your potential is being activated. God's purpose for you often requires seasons of hiddenness, where it feels like nothing is happening, yet beneath the surface, He is preparing you for a harvest you cannot yet see. Struggles often strip us of the things we think we need but do not. They reveal where we have placed our trust. Do we trust in our own strength, our own plans, or our own resources? Or do we truly trust in God? When Gideon faced an army far larger than his own, God reduced the number of his troops from 32,000 to 300. Why? Because God wanted Gideon to know that victory comes not by might or numbers, but by His power. Gideon's struggle was not about defeating an enemy, but about learning to depend entirely on God. In the same way, struggles often teach us the power of surrender. It's not about giving up, but about giving over, releasing control, and allowing God to take the lead. When we try to carry the weight of our struggles alone, we grow weary, but when we surrender them to God, we find strength we never knew we had. Isaiah 40:31 reminds us, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, they will run and not grow weary, they will walk and not be faint." Sometimes struggles are the only way we hear God's voice. In the noise of life, it's easy to miss His gentle whispers. But in the quiet moments of pain, when all else fades, we hear Him clearly. Elijah, after his great victory over the prophets of Baal, fled in fear and despair. In his struggle, he heard God not in the earthquake, wind, or fire, but in a gentle whisper. It was in that moment of quietness that Elijah was reminded of God's presence and purpose. God's timing is often revealed through struggle. We live in a world of instant gratification, where we want results now, but God's work in us is a process. When Sarah and Abraham were promised a son, they had to wait years for the fulfillment of that promise. In their struggle with doubt and impatience, God was teaching them to trust His timing. The promise came not when they expected, but at the appointed time when it could bring God the most glory. Struggles also create resilience. They teach us to stand firm, to persevere, and to grow stronger. James 1:2-4 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Struggles are not meant to break you, but to build you into someone who is spiritually mature, someone who reflects the image of Christ. Every struggle you face is an invitation to experience God in a deeper way. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into the fiery furnace, they could have doubted God's faithfulness. Instead, they declared, "If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and He will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if He does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods." Daniel 3:17-18. Their struggle was not just about deliverance, but about demonstrating unwavering faith. Your struggles are not wasted. They are seeds planted in faith, watered by perseverance, and harvested in due season. Galatians 6:9 encourages us, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." The key is persistence, holding on to God's promises even when the outcome is unclear. Faith requires that we walk by what we believe, not by what we see. The struggles of life often cloud our vision, making it difficult to see God's hand at work. But faith reminds us that God is always present, always working, even in the silence. When the disciples were caught in a storm, they panicked, forgetting that Jesus was in the boat with them. His words, "Peace, be still," Mark 4:39, calmed not only the storm but also their hearts. Your struggles are part of a greater story. They are not the final chapter, but the necessary steps toward the fulfillment of God's promises. Abraham's journey, Joseph's trials, David's battles, and Paul's persecutions were all part of the process that led to their purpose. In the same way, your struggles are refining you, preparing you, and equipping you for what lies ahead. When you feel overwhelmed, remember that God's grace is sufficient. His power is made perfect in your weakness. Lean into His strength, for He is the one who carries you through. Do not despise the struggle, for it is the fire that refines, the storm that strengthens, and the path that leads to glory. Every struggle in life becomes an opportunity for God to showcase His sovereignty and glory. When you feel crushed under the weight of difficulties, it's not the time to give up, but to lean in, to dig deeper into the well of His promises. God's word declares in Romans 8:28, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." The key lies in trusting not just in His power, but in His purpose for allowing the struggle to unfold. In the stillness of the night, when fear creeps in and questions flood your mind, it is there that God often whispers His truths. Struggles have a way of silencing the world's noise and focusing our attention on Him. Jacob wrestled with God all night in a moment of desperation, refusing to let go until he received a blessing. That struggle wasn't a sign of weakness but of determination, a willingness to stay in God's presence until transformation came. Life's challenges serve as a pruning process. Just as a gardener cuts away the unnecessary branches to ensure the tree bears more fruit, God uses struggles to remove what hinders our growth. This is not a punishment but preparation. Jesus himself said, "Every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful," John 15:2. Trust the pruning, for it is making room for greater things to come. Struggles test the authenticity of our faith. It's easy to praise God in seasons of abundance, but what about in seasons of scarcity? Job's life illustrates this truth profoundly. In the midst of his suffering, after losing everything, he declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him." Job 13:15. Job's faith was not conditional upon his circumstances, it was anchored in the character of God. Can you trust God the same way, even when you don't understand His methods? The process of struggle often teaches us that God's ways are higher than our ways. We may plan, dream, and strategize, but sometimes God redirects our paths through challenges. Joseph dreamed of greatness, but his journey took him through betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment. What seemed like detours were actually divine appointments preparing him to save a nation. Joseph's struggles were the stepping stones to his destiny, even when it didn't look like it. There is a hidden blessing in being emptied. When struggles strip away our illusions of control, we become vessels ready to be filled with God's power. The Apostle Paul understood this well when he wrote, "But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God, and not from us." 2 Corinthians 4:7. Our fragility highlights God's strength, and our weakness becomes the stage for His greatness to shine. The struggle is where transformation happens. Just as a caterpillar must wrestle within the cocoon to become a butterfly, we too must endure seasons of difficulty to emerge stronger, wiser, and more aligned with God's purpose. The process may feel isolating, but it is in the quiet struggle that God does His most profound work. He reshapes us, removes what no longer serves His purpose, and refines us into the people He has called us to be. Faithfulness in struggle also unlocks supernatural strength. Consider Paul and Silas, imprisoned for their faith. Their response was not despair but worship. They sang hymns, and in their praise the prison doors were opened and their chains were loosed. The power of worship in the midst of struggle cannot be overstated. It shifts our perspective from the problem to the provider, from the pain to the promise. God uses our struggles to deepen our dependence on Him. It's in those moments when we realize that our own strength is insufficient that we truly experience His power. Isaiah 41:10 reassures us, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." The promise is not the absence of struggle, but the assurance of His presence within it. Sometimes struggles are a tool for revealing our identity in Christ. The enemy often uses hardships to attack our sense of worth. But God uses the same challenges to remind us of who we are in Him. Jesus faced His greatest struggle in the wilderness, where the enemy tempted Him, questioning His identity as the Son of God. Yet Jesus responded with the Word of God, standing firm in the truth of who He was. In your struggles, cling to the identity God has given you, not the lies the enemy whispers. Through struggles, God aligns our hearts with His. In moments of hardship, we are drawn to prayer, to seeking His face more earnestly. David in the wilderness cried out, as the deer pants for streams of water. So my soul pants for you, my God, Psalm 42:1. The struggle birthed a deeper intimacy with God, a longing for His presence that could not be quenched by anything else. Even when we feel abandoned in our struggles, God is always working behind the scenes. The book of Esther is a perfect example. God's name is never mentioned, yet His hand is evident in every detail of the story. Mordecai's words to Esther ring true for us today, and who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. What if your struggle is positioning you for a moment of divine purpose that you cannot yet see? God's timing in struggles often doesn't align with ours, but it is always perfect. Sarah laughed when she heard she would bear a child in her old age because she couldn't comprehend God's timing. Yet Isaac was born exactly when God intended, fulfilling his promise. Struggles teach us to wait on God, to trust that He is never late, even when we feel He is delayed. When struggles stretch us beyond our limits, they bring us to a place of complete surrender. Peter stepped out of the boat onto the water, walking toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind and waves, he began to sink. His struggle was not the wind, but his wavering faith. Jesus reached out, caught him, and said, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Matthew 14:31. The struggle became a lesson in trust, a moment where Peter's faith was strengthened for the journey ahead. God allows struggles to teach us that His grace is sufficient. Paul, with his thorn in the flesh, pleaded 3 times for it to be removed. God's response was not to take away the struggle, but to give him the grace to endure it. "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness," 2 Corinthians 12:9. The struggle remained, but so did God's power and purpose in it. Struggles refine our character, shaping us into the image of Christ. Romans 5:3-4 says, "Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance and character hope." Each struggle adds another layer to the masterpiece God is creating in you. What feels like breaking is actually building, and what seems like defeat is laying the foundation for victory. The process of struggle often reveals our need for community. God never intended for us to face life's challenges alone. When Moses grew weary holding up his hands during the battle against the Amalekites, Aaron and Hur stood by his side, holding his hands steady. Your struggles are not yours to bear alone. God places people in your life to support, encourage, and strengthen you, reminding you of His love through their presence. Even the greatest struggles carry the seed of divine purpose. Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane faced a moment of unimaginable anguish, praying, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will," Matthew 26:39. His struggle led to the cross, but the cross led to salvation. The greatest victory in history came through the greatest struggle, a reminder that God's purposes are far greater than we can comprehend. Struggles, when surrendered to God, become the crucible where faith is purified and strength is birthed. The fire of trials may feel unbearable, but just as gold is refined through intense heat, your spirit is being molded into something precious and enduring. The testing of your faith produces perseverance, and this perseverance works to mature and complete you, leaving you lacking nothing. Each moment of difficulty is an opportunity for God to display His power, for when we are weak, His strength is made perfect in us. Even in the midst of pain, God's hand is at work, orchestrating a masterpiece. Joseph endured betrayal, false accusations, and imprisonment, yet every setback was a step closer to his God-ordained destiny. What others meant for evil, God used for good. And just like Joseph, your struggles are not the end of the story, they are the foundation for a greater plan. The enemy may seek to use your hardships to defeat you, but God turns every attack into a testimony of His faithfulness and provision. In moments of deep despair, it is crucial to remember that God never wastes pain. Your tears are counted, your cries are heard, and your struggles are not unnoticed by Him. Psalm 56:8 assures us that God collects every tear in a bottle, a powerful reminder of His intimate concern for us. Even when you feel abandoned or forgotten, the truth remains: God is with you, working for your good in ways that are often hidden from view. Struggles reveal the depth of your relationship with God. They strip away superficial faith, forcing you to confront the question, do you trust Him even when you cannot see the way forward? Job, in his suffering, declared, "But He knows the way that I take when He has tested me. I will come forth as gold." Job 23:10. Such faith is born in the furnace of affliction, where trust in God becomes the anchor that holds you steady in the storm. The process of struggle often teaches us to rely on God rather than our own abilities. When we come to the end of ourselves, we discover the limitless resources of His grace. The Apostle Paul wrote, "We were under great pressure, far beyond our ability to endure, so that we despaired of life itself. But this happened that we might not rely on ourselves, but on God, who raises the dead." 2 Corinthians 1:8-9. Struggles remind us of our dependence on the one who has the power to sustain us. In your darkest moments, God is preparing you for the light of His promises. Just as the dawn breaks after the longest night, so too will your struggles give way to the joy of His provision. Isaiah 61:3 speaks of God's ability to bestow on His people a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. These promises are not just words, they are the realities God is working to bring forth in your life. Through struggle, God refines your purpose. Every challenge you face equips you for the calling He has placed on your life. David faced the lion and the bear before confronting Goliath. Each struggle was a training ground for the destiny that lay ahead. Similarly, God uses the difficulties you endure to prepare you for the greater works He has planned for you. No struggle is wasted when placed in His hands. As you navigate the trials of life, remember that God's timing is never off. What may feel like delay is often His deliberate preparation. Sarah's wait for Isaac, Hannah's prayer for a son, and even Jesus' resurrection after 3 days all testify to the perfection of God's timing. Your struggle is not a sign of His absence, but an assurance of His intricate design. Trust that He is working all things together for your good, even when the path seems unclear. God's ways are higher than our ways, and His thoughts higher than our thoughts. When you find yourself in the depths of struggle, it's essential to remember that what you see as delay or difficulty is often divine orchestration. The waiting, the uncertainty, and the pain all serve a greater purpose, one that is unfolding according to His perfect plan. Struggles test our patience, but they also deepen our faith, anchoring our trust in the one who never fails. When the Israelites stood before the Red Sea, pursued by an enemy determined to destroy them, it seemed as though God had abandoned them. Yet it was in that impossible moment that God demonstrated His power and faithfulness. The sea parted, a path was created, and what seemed like a hopeless situation turned into a testimony of His miraculous provision. Likewise, the struggles you face today may seem insurmountable, but God is already preparing a way through them. So He is not a God of chaos or confusion, but of order and purpose, and He will use every challenge to reveal His glory. Struggles often strip away the things we lean on, forcing us to depend solely on God. They reveal the fragility of human strength and the necessity of divine intervention. In these moments, we learn to pray with greater fervor, to seek God with greater desperation, and to surrender fully to His will. The intimacy developed in seasons of struggle is unparalleled. It is in the darkness that we come to know the light of His presence, and it is in our weakness that we experience the fullness of His strength. Jesus Himself is no stranger to struggle. The agony He endured in the Garden of Gethsemane, the betrayal of a close friend, the humiliation of the cross, all these struggles were part of a divine plan. His suffering was not meaningless but redemptive, leading to the salvation of all who believe. If the Son of God faced struggles with a purpose, how much more can we trust that our difficulties are not in vain? The cross teaches us that pain can bring life, that suffering can yield glory, and that every struggle carries the seed of divine purpose. There is power in the perspective you bring to your struggles. When you see them as opportunities for growth and refinement, they lose their ability to defeat you. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" begin to ask, "What is God teaching me in this moment?" Shifting your focus from the problem to the provider transforms your experience. You begin to see the hand of God in every detail, working all things together for your good and His glory. The story of Job is a profound example of how struggles refine and elevate us. Job lost everything: his wealth, his family, his health, yet he refused to curse God. Instead, he clung to his faith, even when he could not understand God's plan. In the end, Job's faith was rewarded, and he was blessed with more than he had lost. His story reminds us that struggles are temporary, but God's promises are eternal. What you are enduring today is not the end of your story. It is merely a chapter in the greater narrative of His plan for your life. Struggles also have a way of revealing the faithfulness of God's promises. When you look back on your life, you will see that He has never failed you. The trials you thought would break you only served to make you stronger. The doors that closed led to better opportunities, and the pain that seemed unbearable brought healing and growth. Every struggle is a testament to the truth of Romans 8:28, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. It's important to remember that struggles do not define your identity. The world may try to label you based on your circumstances, but God sees you for who you truly are, His beloved child, created in His image with a purpose and destiny that cannot be thwarted. The struggles you face are not a reflection of your worth, but a testament to the greatness of what God is preparing you for. Just as diamonds are formed under pressure, so too are you being shaped into something extraordinary through the challenges you endure. God's word is a source of strength and encouragement in times of struggle. The Psalms in particular are filled with cries of anguish that transform into declarations of faith. David, a man after God's own heart, wrote Psalm 34:18, which says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." These words remind us that God is not distant in our struggles. He is near, offering comfort, peace, and hope. His word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path, guiding us through even the darkest valleys. In every struggle, there is an opportunity to grow closer to God. Trials strip away distractions and force us to focus on what truly matters. They remind us of our dependence on Him and deepen our relationship with the One who holds our future. James 1:2-4 encourages us to consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. This perspective transforms struggles into stepping stones towards spiritual maturity and a deeper understanding of God's love. The struggles you face are also a testament to the enemy's awareness of your potential. Satan does not attack those who pose no threat to his plans. The greater your struggle, the greater the calling God has placed on your life. Do not let the weight of your trials convince you to give up instead. Let them propel you toward the fulfillment of your purpose. Remember that greater is He who is in you than he who is in the world. The power of Christ within you is more than enough to overcome any challenge you face. Struggles have a way of bringing clarity to your priorities. They strip away the superficial and force you to focus on what truly matters: your relationship with God, your family, and your purpose. They remind you that the things of this world are temporary, but the things of God are eternal. As you walk through trials, you begin to see life from an eternal perspective, valuing what is lasting over what is fleeting. This shift in perspective is one of the greatest gifts struggles can offer. Struggles teach us to value the presence of God above all else. When the comforts of life are stripped away, and all that remains is His presence, we discover that He is more than enough. This realization doesn't come from moments of ease, but from seasons of hardship when we are driven to seek Him with all our hearts. Struggles cultivate a hunger for God that surpasses any desire for earthly solutions. They teach us that true peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of God in the midst of it. In these moments, prayer becomes more than a ritual, it becomes a lifeline. Struggles push us into the presence of God in ways prosperity often cannot. They teach us to cry out with sincerity, to seek Him with desperation, and to rely on His guidance completely. Through these experiences, we learn the depth of what it means to trust Him fully, even when the outcome remains uncertain. It's in the stillness of surrender that His voice becomes clearest, guiding us through the storms with unwavering faithfulness. God uses struggles to shape us into His image, chiseling away at the parts of us that do not reflect His character. The refining process may be painful, but it is purposeful. Just as a potter molds clay on the wheel, pressing and shaping it into something beautiful, so God uses the pressures of life to form us into vessels of honor. Each trial is a step in the process of becoming who He created us to be. Though the journey may be difficult, the outcome is worth it, His masterpiece, a reflection of His glory and grace. Struggles also reveal the strength that lies within us. not from our own abilities, but from the power of Christ working through us. When we feel as though we cannot go on, His strength sustains us. When the weight of the world feels too heavy, His grace lifts us. It is in these moments that we experience the truth of Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ, who strengthens me. This strength is not just for survival, but for thriving even in the face of adversity. The beauty of struggles is that they often become the catalyst for the most profound testimonies. What you endure today will become a story of hope for someone else tomorrow. Your journey through difficulty is not just about you, it is about the lives God will touch through your experience. As you emerge from your struggles, stronger and more faith-filled, you become a beacon of hope, pointing others to the faithfulness of God. Through every hardship, God's love remains steadfast. His plans for you are good, even when circumstances seem contrary. Struggles do not diminish His promises, they magnify His ability to fulfill them. When we lean into His word and trust in His timing, we find that every trial is an opportunity to grow, to trust, and to witness His hand at work in ways we could never imagine. God's purpose is being fulfilled, even now, in ways that will one day leave you in awe of His goodness. In every struggle, God is at work, weaving purpose into what may seem like chaos. The challenges you face are not random or meaningless, they are divine appointments designed to draw you closer to Him and shape you into His image. As you walk through the trials of life, remember that God's grace is sufficient, His strength is made perfect in weakness, and His plans for you are good. Each struggle holds the seed of transformation, equipping you for the destiny He has prepared. Trust in His process, lean into His promises, and keep your faith anchored in His unchanging character. Your struggles are not the end, but the beginning of a powerful testimony that will glorify God and inspire others. Let the lessons learned in hardship propel you toward the fullness of His purpose, knowing that He wastes nothing and redeems everything for His glory and your good.